I'm now a few days into Ferrari Purosangue ownership, and today I want to take you through all of the spec, the options, the price details of the Shmeemobile. Some of the things I didn't go for, some of the things that perhaps I should have chosen. Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel. You join me here at the Shmuseum to run through this thing in full. I feel super lucky to be one of the first in the world to get to own it, but there are a lot of things to touch on. One of those is your questions about the PPF. I saw a lot of people were confused that I picked up a brand new Shmeemobile, revealed it in the showroom, drove it out for the first drive on the roads, but didn't really go into detail about paint protection film, which if you know me, is something I wouldn't be driving on the road without. And we're going to discuss that more with Nabil in a moment. As I'm already a couple of 100 miles into this thing, it's quickly got very dirty. We've got 22-inch wheels at the front, 23-inch at the back, the standard tyres it came with, but I'm about to be taking this on a big road trip. They're going to be swapped over to a set of Michelin Pilot Alpine winter tyres. We've got those already, and we need to take them over today. But because this is dirty, it kind of impacts the plans that I have for that. What I want to do though is run you through all of the options, everything that I chose in the spec of this particular car, including one thing that certainly caused some controversy, a different set of reactions to what I expected. Now we're going to go through the exterior, we're also going to talk about the interior, because I tell you what, there's a very high level of standard options on the Purosangue, but nonetheless, there are a lot of things I've configured, some that are excruciatingly expensive, and some things I didn't opt for that I'm now starting to think perhaps I should, and we're going to go through all of it. Welcome, welcome.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome to my barn, or at least welcome to the lounge room with theatre seating and kind of hidden away.
I was about to say, where are the cars?
Where are the cars? The cars are behind the magic glass.
Oh yes, of course they are. Yeah.
The whole glass on. Boom.
No way.
It's cool,
no
isn't it?
Way.
Sorry for all the packaging boxes and mess everywhere.
Wow. But yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it.
It's a cool space.
Epic. I need this.
Yeah.
I need to have this in my house or in the unit somewhere.
Something. Just need to find a purpose for it.
Find a purpose for it, exactly.
Come on out of the heat into the cold of the barn.
Yeah. Oh, this is cool, man. This is really, really nice. This is looking epic, guys. This is looking really nice.
One of the craziest things here is when you look at the cars, right? It's Topaz, 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 Topaz. Shall we keep going?
Honestly, I think I've seen at our units everything apart from
the Mustang from America,
right?
Yep.
I think so. I think we've seen literally most of these.
The 1M hasn't yet.
Oh yeah.
But it will do.
We've got a plan
because we've got to talk a little bit about that.
That
but I want to get straight into this, right?
Yes.
Because obviously I collected this a few days ago.
Yep.
And I have had a lot of people saying, how dare I drive it without paint protection film? But that's
a good sign.
This is the magic trick, right?
Well, I think this is it, because I think what we did is we actually tricked everyone a little bit, because obviously you were traveling, so we decided to get the car sent to a Hatfield site, get the PPF done before you even collected the car.
It's such a smooth process.
So that's why. So it was literally like, I don't think you even felt it. It was like
you don't even know about it. You don't even know about it.
Exactly.
Brad actually went to check it out so that we could have some cool clips to show of the car getting PPF installed. But the whole system and the beauty of you having that business site location in Hatfield is that
exactly that reason.
Customer doesn't know about it. Car goes straight over, gets done, comes back, good to go, and no sign at all, obviously, of the full paint protection film being installed, which is exactly the benefit of it. But talking traveling, some very exciting news from the front of you guys. Topaz Dubai.
I just came back from there and now I'm in the cold again. But yeah, I was there, 28 degrees. It was amazing. We went to the Ferrari event, went to the Porsche Icons event. It was fantastic, but our site is now open. So Topaz is now open there. I'm sure you'll put some B-roll to have a look at the
for sure.
site and stuff like that.
It's an impressive facility. It's now over 10 locations.
Yeah, we're over 10 locations. We actually are, by the end of 2024, will be 14 locations, plus an extra small detailing location in the peninsula. So that's going to be out 15, basically.
This is absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. And the amazing thing about the Dubai supercar scene, as we all know, is intense. There are crazy cars absolutely everywhere, a whole lot of things going on, and you've got the site, you've got the space for it.
Yes.
How big is
40,000 square foot? So we're going to be doing PPF detailing, ice blasting, and also storage. So
Yeah.
full-on storage facility, dehumidified, temperature controlled, climate controlled. I mean, I've gone to town with everything. You see how you've done with your. The only thing you haven't done is the glass.
Yeah.
I haven't done the tinted.
Well, I can introduce you to the guys if you need. So tell me, have you been in a Purosangue yet? Have you?
I have been. I haven't driven it, but I've been just moving it around because we had one on our Southampton site.
Yeah.
So I think this was the first UK car that we had.
It was. Do you know what? I was seeing that, and at the time, we knew that this was basically it was here, and we were like, do we keep it secret? We got to keep it secret for now. Because I don't know if you guys know, you actually shared a blue one that you were working on.
Yeah.
And I got tagged in it by a million people who thought that it was going to, because I hadn't revealed my spec, so nobody knew. But I know you did obviously own a Lusso. We've both previously owned Lussos.
Yep.
Long live the V12s.
Long live. I mean, I love that car. I absolutely love that car. It's just one of the most. It's an easy car to drive. You can get in it and drive. And I think this car is. I think you're gonna keep this for ages.
I'm sure.
You're gonna keep this for absolutely.
And I know this is almost sounding like a broken record sometimes. That's the beauty of doing paint protection film like this. If you're going to keep the car, as I know I will, in 5 years' time, I'm still going to own this. I don't know how long after. We look around, the McLaren, the 675, is now, is that, wait, brainstorm quickly, that's 7.5 years old?
Yeah, I know. And I remember seeing that in our unit, like when it was brand new and you just brought it in. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Flying.
It's crazy, but when you have that kind of thing, that's why it's worth protecting a car and keeping it looking beautiful.
Definitely, 100%. Even people that keep their cars for 6 months or a year, they still put PPF on it because they don't want the hassle of having to go to a body shop.
It increases value.
Increases the value, and then when it goes back to the dealer, they're not going to say, okay, well, we have to respray the whole front and the side sills and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just less hassle, and especially when like how you've just had, you don't even feel the car being PPF.
It's just done. So I suspect you're probably a fan of the interior of this.
I am, of course, Koyo. I absolutely love it. It's just one of those things that, for me, blue with tan, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong with this color. What's been your impressions initially?
I love it.
You love it.
I mean, I spent ages deciding, even the blue carpets and all the other details.
Yeah, all the Alcantara.
I think it's one that you perhaps need to see in person a bit more.
I don't think you can't tell on the camera that the blue actually goes really well with everything. Because sometimes the blue on the outside and the blue on the leather, because it's different, obviously, materials, look slightly different. But it goes really, really well together. I love it. I love it.
It's a cool thing. It's a very cool thing. And it's also cool that finally you've been out here to visit.
I know. Sorry, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I
there we go.
Yeah, there we go. I got it at the end. But just look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. It's a very, very, very cool thing.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely love it.
So when my door hinge is broken, I know what happened.
Don't leave me in here for too long. You'll come back and the door won't be working. To your point, this is the first time. I'm I'm sad that I haven't been here since the beginning, but I've been following obviously all the stuff that you've been doing. But I'm glad that to see it when it's basically filled with cars and those these swatch watches.
It's almost
stuff.
It's a color explosion.
It really
is.
It's
in many ways the opposite of your workshops. Your workshops are so tidy and neat and organized and pristine, scientific. Whereas this is like a kid's toy room. It's like dump everything.
Or it's Tim's brain. That's what I feel like I'm in right now. I've just teleported into your brain, and this is what it feels like right now.
It's an explosion of color and stuff, ideas.
Ideas, watches, you got all the stuff from Amelia, you got just everything. I think the cows in there as well. There's, and all this kind of, it just is fantastic seeing all this stuff. It really is. It's epic.
Nabil has just left, which means it's time for the next errand, which is, of course, to install the winter tyres. Now, these things are enormous. These are the official Michelin Pilot Alpines for the car. 315/23 rears. The fronts, not entirely sure, what are they? They are 255/22s, massive tyres. Now, this is a practical car, so I know what you're thinking. We can open this up, I can grab a blanket, and I can probably throw them all in. And to be honest, I think they would fit, even though they are very big. The problem is, this has a really nice, expensive leather interior, and when we take those ones off, they're gonna be filthy after the drive over to What's Will Fix It. And that's not ideal. So what we're actually gonna do is put these sensibly in the Transit and take both together over to Whoops. And this is why we have a sensible, practical work van in bright pink. here at the garage because we can fit tyres back here without any fear of damaging anything. All loaded, time to get moving and teleport to Whoops. Whoa! We're here! Whoops will fix it with the Purosangue and with the van, ready to get the tyres unloaded, get them inside, and explain a bit more about this. I mean, it might sound obvious to put winter tyres on for a trip down to the Alps. A lot of people don't do it, and there are so many reasons why it's a good idea. It's actually pretty cold though. Let's get this inside, figure out the exact plan. Obviously, these are some big old wheels. The guys here can do it. We'll get them sorted out, get them swapped over. With a wheel off at the front, have a look in here. This is the Multimatic suspension. This thing is a work of art. Everything that's going on with all of this. A big part of what makes this car drive as well as it drives is down to that, what you're looking at there. This is enormous. The size of the calipers and the discs on the front of this thing. It's really fun to see that kind of stuff. And obviously we've got the carbon on the outside of the wheel arch liners, the wheelhouse flares, as they call them, on there, but we'll go through more of that later. Back over here with the tyres, the Pilot Alpine 5 SUV, you notice the very different tread. They have different grooves, obviously to drive in soft packed snow, for example, different compounds to help with lower temperatures. Below about 7 degrees Celsius, you should always pop winter tyres on your car, so I like to have 1 or 2 in the garage ready for winter driving, especially when we've got a big tour ahead and some plans with them. The strangest thing here with the rear wheels is that is running the new winter tyre. Look at the tread pattern with the 1 channel. And that's the original summer tyre or all-year tyre with the 4 channels through it. It's actually amazing how different these things are when you look at them, one on one side, one on the other. And just like that, with thanks to Whoops will fix it, the winter tyres are fitted. Time for me to have the first drive back to base to talk about the spec. I think we're doing this again. And we're back again. I've got to stop doing that, but this means it is time to talk through all of the costs, all of the options, the exterior, the interior, and the tech. And there are a few surprises when it comes to this, but I want to wind back to something I said earlier about the one option that I probably expected a different reaction to than has been reality, and that is the paint color, Blue Le Mans. Now in here, this is a multi-layer, very deep, very rich, beautiful metallic blue paint. And under this lighting, it looks amazing. I chose it for a bit of a personal reason. My first ever Ferrari, the FF, was in fact in exactly this paint color. And I think when you consider the usage, the lineup of cars, the intended purpose of the Purosangue for me as an elegant grand tourer, a very practical, usable, but a little bit, as much as a Ferrari like this can be, under the radar, it suits it really well. And obviously I have a thing for blue Ferraris. 5 out of the 6 Ferraris I've owned to date have been blue. The only one that hasn't been is the Rosso Dino 296 GTS. And that's where, considering the lineup of cars, and there are a lot of very bright, very colourful cars here at the Shmeemuseum, it's about a different purpose. It's about a car that doesn't necessarily scream and shout. So I was quite surprised that, I have to be honest, it hasn't been unanimously loved. Maybe there are too many blue Ferraris out there these days. Maybe I'm too predictable with choosing blue coloured cars. But this paint looks stunning. And it probably wasn't helped that in the showroom, due to being wintertime, the sun was super low and it looked a lot darker than it really is. But I can tell you from my experience with the FF, and remember this has a layer of dirt and grime over it right now, it looks lovely. It looks really lovely. We're going to get to the interior in a moment. So let's start, and I've got my cheat sheet because there are a lot of numbers to remember here. And I want to start with the car itself. The Ferrari Purosangue, in its completely stock form, is £310,700. To have it on the road here in the UK, you have to pay the first year road tax of £2,605 and the registration fee of £55 for a total of £313,360. And I'm going to stop us right there because I actually think for what you get, that's not all that bad. Yes, it's a step up from the Urus or the DBX 707 or the Bentayga, but it's actually, when spec'd like for like, less than a Cullinan, and it's a lot of car for the money. And what's very interesting as we go through this, when it comes to my full spec, like for like to my FF, which is 11 years old, that car was a 2012 car, if you factor in inflation, this is actually cheaper in the modern day, which I think isn't bad going. So let's dive into all of the exterior options to kick this off, starting with the paint color. And believe me, I could have picked a cheaper alternative. Multi-layer paints are expensive. This is £10,273. Could be more, to be honest, as well. Then we get to carbon fiber, and there's a lot of it. The entire front spoiler, these lower panels as well, £5,136. Come round towards the side, we've got the wheels. These are the upgraded forged wheel. Now, I think a lot of people quite like the dual tone design on them when these blades are in silver and the rest is in black. But for me, a big silver wheel, it fits the elegant color scheme of the car, and I particularly like a silver wheel, and wheels look bigger when they're silver as well. So the upgrade in the glossy liquid finish here, £4,829, and with the forged wheels, you also have to get the titanium wheel bolts, which are £1,027. And as I learnt today, when you're torquing them up, you actually torque the titanium bolts to 150 Newton meters, 30 Newton meters more than otherwise, which is a bit random. Rosso Corsa calipers. I know another controversial touch. People have said, why not silver, why not yellow? My other two Ferraris have yellow, and I wanted it to be different, and that's not something I ever thought I would say. I had silver on the Lusso before. Red, to me, is a bit sportier. It's a bit more unique for the car. It's a bit different. You can always change these things if you don't like them. Plus, my FF had red as well. So the red calipers are £1,387. The final option down here, the carbon fiber center caps, or center cups, as Ferrari call them, are £772. Now, the wheels are surrounded by these full carbon fiber wheel arch surrounds, the wheelhouse flares, which have two purposes. One, visually, changing the look of the car, but also aerodynamically, because they have lots of openings for the curtains and directing airflow around. Those are £5,342 for all four, which sounds like a lot, but I actually think for how much carbon fiber it is, that's not so bad. Also, as we come past, we have the Scudder rear shields. Now, it's actually a different panel if you have these because of having the indentation to house them. The Scudder rear shields are £1,132. Next up, the carbon fiber under door cover, this incredibly long panel that runs all the way across, well, three parts technically, which is £5,342. One more bit of carbon fiber around the back, the entire diffuser, which goes all the way underneath as well. Bit pricey, £7,192. And the final option for the exterior is having the sport exhaust pipes in Glacier for £1,027. And yes, I'm sorry, it's all pretty dirty already. Now, the total for the exterior options could buy you a hot hatch, that has to be said, £43,459. Moving inside, and another big topic of conversation. The first time I've done a spec like this, but I love doing dual tone Ferrari interiors. Now, green over tan has become quite a thing. I've gone for the blue over tan, or inside here, as Ferrari call it, the Coyo leather. Now, I'm certainly in agreement that it's quite a gentlemanly look overall, but it fits that elegant style that I wanted to go for with this car. I know specs are so personal. Somebody might want a yellow car with a black Alcantara interior with yellow stitching, but that wouldn't fit my purpose, to be cliche about it again. Let's come in though and run through these options, starting with the full Coyo leather interior for £3,596. Now, I've complemented that with the blue touches. So for example, the upper dashboard in blue sterling for £822. We then have the full leather upper area. So the A-pillars and the full glass surround, all finished in Coyo as well for £2,568. Before we come back to the seats, I've got the standard seat here, but with the Cavallino headrest embroidery in blue medio for £1,337. And then the contrast stitch that you see throughout as well, also in blue medio for £925. In addition, we have the steering wheel options. So the coloured steering wheel, also in blue sterling, is £463. We have the carbon fibre steering wheel upgrade with the LED shift lights, which is one of my favourite Ferrari options, for £3,083. And lastly, for the steering wheel, it is heated for £772. Now, beyond that, a few no-cost options in here, the blue carpets, but there are other things that I've added also. I should add, the aluminium footrest over on the passenger side is $258, one of the least expensive options on the car. And we have the dedication plate, which is in the back. That is $463 to give you that little plaque, nice little touch to add, which means the interior options on this are actually the least expensive of my three Ferraris, despite being very highly equipped, because there's a lot that's standard. I didn't go for the carbon fiber options, and we'll talk about that in a moment. and it totals at 14,287 inside. So you're not going to be quite into hot hatch territory with that, but it certainly adds up. What is interesting though is that you get a lot of things standard on this car that you don't get on many other Ferraris and other models overall that you wouldn't necessarily expect. For example, the awesome sound system in here, the hi-fi with speakers up in the roof and everywhere. I think there are 22 speakers from Burmester. That's standard. You don't have to choose to opt for that at all. The smartphone interface, because you use your phone, whether it's Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, for the navigation system, also standard. Normally that's a couple of £1,000s on a Ferrari. If I close the doors, we also have the surround view cameras here under the mirrors, and obviously front and rear, again, completely standard, which normally you'd expect to pay a couple of £1,000s for, and also the adaptive front lights. The headlights, which are actually right down here, those are a standard option as well. Obviously with the lift system, normally you'd have to add them as an extra option. So those alone, sound system, you'd normally spend 5,000, the smartphone interface 3, so it'd be at 8, the surround view cameras, a good 4 would be at 12, the adaptive front lights, another 3 would be at £15,000 or so, is all standard content on the UK price list of the Purosangue. There are actually only 2 other options that I've gone for, 2 pretty expensive options. The first is the suspension lifter. Now, confusingly on this car, there is a standard suspension lifter, which gives you, I think it's about 20 millimeters of travel up to about 20 miles per hour. So a small lift to help protect the carbon spoiler at the front. The upgrade option allows you to have even more travel and hold it at higher speeds. So effectively, you can go have some fun in the snow or down a dirt track, which I did opt, and that was £4,109. The most expensive option, though, is the roof, the big glass panel that you have up top, which is dimmable, electrochromatic, in place of the standard carbon fibre roof. That was £12,326, which means we have some extra options totaling £16,435. Now, before we add all of this up and have the final number, I actually want to tell you how many options and some of the most expensive things I didn't order that would add up even more. So when it comes to the interior of the car, you could actually choose to fill this with carbon fibre, instrument binnacle, central tunnel, loads of other things. If you spec all of the interior carbon, you spend around £17,000 on interior carbon fibre. It adds up. The seats, you could have the style seats, which actually replace this lower section, which is here in Cuello Alcantara, with a leather insert, but I didn't really like the look of it. And taste is subjective. Everybody has a different thing. That would have been £3,000. I didn't want to pay £3,000 for an upgraded seat that I liked less than the standard seat, so I didn't go for that. Massaging seats are an option, £3,600. I don't use them ever anyway, so I didn't go for that. Heated rear seats, as nice as it would have been to have heated rear seats for any passengers back here, I kind of figured that for the price of £2,600, to be honest, my passengers can just go with being cold and deal with it because they're in the back of a Purosangue, which is a very nice place to be. The scud shields can be swapped out for the hand-painted shields. You can have them. They look amazing when they're painted on the side of the car, but they come in at about £8,700, and again, I'm okay with the Scudder rear shields. The other thing that I know some people spotted is that I didn't order the privacy glass, the rear windows being tinted, and that was basically because I think there's something nice about seeing a bright interior like this. I feel like it looks cool when you see it through the windows, and it's also just shy of £3,000, about £2,800. So for me, that was kind of, yeah, all right, we'll kind of manage. So the options on this car, the exterior, interior, and technology options come to £74,181, which is a fair old whack. It is more than my Mustang Dark Horse just cost me, and more than some other nice cars would cost as well. And combine that with the original cost of the car and the registration and the tax, and we have a total for this exact spec, as you see it here, of £387,541. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money. I was originally thinking the car would go over 400, so when it came in at 387.5, I wasn't too unhappy about it. And now that I've driven it nearly 400 miles, I tell you what, it's actually superb value. Like I said, when you compare that to my first FF, and even actually I think if you take the first Lusso, which wasn't quite so highly spec'd, still very highly spec'd, and factor in inflation and time, it makes this better value. And considering also that technology's moved on, the engine has advanced, the forward drive system has advanced, all the traction control systems have advanced, the technology has advanced, the materials have advanced, everything about it is obviously 2 steps forward, probably even more than 2 steps forward. I think what you get is a lot of car for the money, a lot of car for the money. And I wouldn't be surprised if actually, unlike the FF, this doesn't tank off a diving board in the same way that V12 4-seat Ferraris have done in the past. Either way, I'm going to do a ton of miles with it, and as I've said, I've spec'd it exactly how I want it. Even popping the winter tyres on today, the Michelin Pilot Alpines at Whoops Will Fix It is all part of that, and getting the car fully paint protection filmed with Topaz, as we spoke about with Nabil earlier, is again all part of preparing it for a whole lot of fun miles ahead. And just driving the thing. If it gets dirty, who cares? Obviously, I'll clean it up. I'll keep it looking neat and tidy as I always do. But the idea with this is to just go out and drive it. It's one of the first SUVs that I've ever owned. The only previous SUV was the G63, which also isn't really an SUV, and this isn't really an SUV. So I've never owned an SUV, only these cars that kind of flirt with the idea of being one of those. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm already loving it, like I say, but the big test is coming up, going to Germany, the Autobahn, heading to the mountains, finding some snow if we can, might be a little bit too early in the season, and just driving the daylights out of the thing, because that's exactly what it's for. So I think overall, well, I know overall, I am over the moon with how it's spec'd. I hope you guys like it now that you see it under the lights. I mean, look at the bright colors you get off here. It looks awesome. Looks really, really cool. And I don't know, it's going to be fun to give some feedback when we've got some more miles on it. For now, though, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you very much for your support, guys. I appreciate it an awful lot. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope it's been interesting to explore the Purosangue a little bit more and talk about the options and the spec. That's it for now, though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!